Passengers are usually at the receiving end at this peak period, but here are some things to note.
If your flight will be rerouted or delayed, you must be notified at least 2 hours in advance. If you have a ticket or printout that shows a confirmed reservation for a specific flight and date, an agent cannot deny you boarding because you have no reservation in the computer. If you need to cancel a ticket purchased under a non-refundable fare, you must be able to apply the fare you paid toward a future flight, minus any applicable charges or cancellation fees. You have a duty to arrive before the time on your ticket. If you have already checked in for your flight, an airline can cancel your reservation if you are not at the departure gate on time. You must be compensated if your flight departs before the ticketed time. If you do not check your baggage in sufficient time for it to be loaded on your flight, the airline will not be responsible for any delay in the delivery of your baggage to your destination. If, however, your baggage is delayed or lost, you must be compensated within 5 business days. If your flight is delayed for over 1 hour, cancelled, or you are denied boarding, you have a right to compensation. You have a duty to be courteous to staff and agents of airline operators. If airline staff or agents treat you discourteously, you must be compensated by the airline. You have a right to refreshments in flight and when there is a delay of more than 1 hour. The airline must provide decent lodging and feeding for you if your flight is delayed overnight. As a passenger with mobility or other special needs, you have a right to priority treatment. If too many people show up for your flight, the airline must ask for volunteers to give up their seats for rewards from the airline, such as vouchers for future travel, a hotel to stay, or even cash. The rewards must be negotiated on an individual basis with the airline. If you are involuntarily denied boarding, the airline must explain your rights in a written document which must state how the airline decides who gets to stay on an overloaded flight. You may keep your ticket and use it on another flight. If you choose to make alternative arrangements, you can request an involuntary refund of the ticket. Having a knowledge of this information will perhaps help the passenger and the regulatory body to do this right.
Staying with passengers, the Director of Consumer Protection of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has a word.
What normally happens is a passenger buys a ticket, so he has like a contract agreement with an airline, take me from point A to point B in safety, securely, and in comfort. There will be delays, there will be cancellations, there will be all sorts of failures in service. That is part of aviation. There is no two way about it, you cannot run away from it. But where the improvement is supposed to come from is from the side of the service providers and the operators. If airlines carry their passengers along and whenever there is a break in service, you tell the passengers this is what's going on, then passengers will appreciate your problems and would also believe that yes, you have them in mind. But by the time there is a delay of upwards of 5 hours and you keep quiet, you don't tell the passengers what's going on, they don't even know when they are going or if they are going. That is what normally leads to all this restiveness in the airports, and we have to come in to mediate between airlines and passengers. And that's how reports come to us, and that's what we count as the complaint that we're talking about. So when there's improvement in that, in how they carry the passengers along, passengers will understand, so there won't be such complaint. That's one. Secondly, issue of competition. Once you have competition in the industry, I cited the example of Airpeace and ARIC. When Airpeace started operating out of the same terminal that ARIC does, the same general aviation terminal GAT, we noticed that the complaints on ARIC came down because most of the complaints were on delays anyway, and they sort of sat up. And since you have alternative, once you have alternatives, you can always look for better service elsewhere. And the competition will now look at the fact that their passengers are going elsewhere and they have to sit up and do better. So that will improve on what we do. Third, we'll look at the issue of interlining arrangements between the airlines. If you buy an aero ticket, you should be good to go on the other airlines. So that if there is by any chance a failure on aero to take you on that flight, then they can endorse your ticket. You go on Medview, on FRN or any other flight, for instance. And that will also reduce the number of complaints. So these are all issues that are evolving. You know, aviation is a very dynamic field, and things keep evolving and new ideas keep coming into it, and service improvement would naturally come with that. Another issue is training, because we have had issues, we have had complaints from passengers on the way airlines staff treat them. To take care of that, toward the end of last year, our DG graciously approved that there should be an industry training on customer service.